I think if you look at the monitoring data released by Chinese Meteorological Administration, between 1961 to 2000, if you look at extreme precipitations, extreme weather events, particular flooding, definitely that has been increasing gradually. And we all know actually the reason now more than ever. And climate change is definitely the major driving force for intensified and more frequent extreme weather events. And the flooding definitely is one of them. And of course, historically, China has been experiencing seasonal or even yearly, annual weather changes, and some of them extremely sort of impactful. But definitely the data and the research all pointing to one direction. If you look at the frequency and the intensity compared to historical data, that definitely has been demonstrating a rising trend.
And can you put your finger on what exactly that trend is and why it has increased?
Well, I think we call it climate change. Actually, we're mostly talking about global warming. For every 1 degree Celsius temperature rise, the air sucks up 7% more precipitation or water into the atmosphere. And so you're starting to change this sort of atmosphere, hydrosphere, the literally atmospheric dynamics there, right? So then when the conditions actually come together, you suddenly have this downpour somewhere, right? And depending on the air flows, the meteorological conditions, stuff like that.
And what impact does that have on agriculture?
Huge, actually. When there's too much water, as China experienced, particularly this summer and also into this fall, and the flooding literally submerge and wipe out the crops or harvest for a year. And then, of course, there will be other regions that experience extremely droughts, right? So basically no water. And so that's going to dramatically impacting actually harvest as well. That's why if you look, some parts of the world, for instance, Africa, has been experiencing a famine, literally, right? We're talking about the people literally do not have enough food. So disrupting tremendously the global food system there as well.
And what is China doing to prepare for events like these?
A lot of things happening in China at this moment. I think conventionally we have this sort of early warning system besides the weather forecast, because we do have data. We have more capabilities in terms of satellite monitoring and sensors, whatever. So we'll be able to tell as early as possible actually what's coming up. So if you look at the sort of early warning system, they're sort of extreme, sort of highly dangerous or hazardous events. That means basically first the schools will be closed, the work will be closed, a lot of facilities will be closed. Why? Because people need to have shelter in order to reduce the impacts or losses or damages there as much as possible. So that has been a major sort of step forward. Then when things happen, the government definitely has this sort of tradition, mobilizing all forces in the society, including military, to come to rescue. But no matter what you do, actually, I think more and more evidence shows climate change is intensifying. We are talking about adaptation and resilience. Somehow, actually, it's literally overwhelming. It seems to me there's no single country at this moment, rich or poor, large and small, is really, really ready to say, yeah, I'm proof, I'm climate crisis proof. There's no single country that can do that.
In August, I think it was, China rolled out its blue book on climate change, and it said there are fewer extreme cold waves, but more extreme heat events. So China is obviously a sensitive and significant area impacted by global change, as you've explained so well, with a rise of temperature higher than the global average. Why is that?
Well, geographically, China is situated in a region that covers pretty broad climatic zones, right? If you look at the southeast China, that's pretty much located in the sort of tropical area. Like you have, tropical cyclones, typhoons, stuff like that. Then, of course, further to the north, you have the temperate, subtropical and the temporal climate zones there. So overall, I think according to the recent IPCC, climate science report, Northern Asia, East Asia, and even Southeast Asia happens to be one of the probably most vulnerable regions in the world today in terms of impact of the climate change issues there. So China is sort of situated right there, right, and covering a large land mass and ranging from different climatic zones. So you have all those factors, actually air flows, weather conditions coming together. So warming is already the major trend. So of course, you started to witness less cold fronts at this moment. In the meantime, as we're talking about it here, precipitations, extreme heat and extreme precipitation events have been intensifying. And that's the major sort of root cause why this country is suffering probably compared to many other parts of the world.
Wu Changhua, many thanks to you for joining us here on The Agenda today.
Thank you very much for having me, Stephen.